Good morning, folks. We're a minute early, so let me get my computer synced up here, hopefully. There we are. Okay, and now so far it's not telling me who's here, but maybe that'll fix itself here in a minute. There we go. There's Lisa and Linda and Lori. I feel like Romper Room, not Romper Room. What was it Romper Room? Where the lady held the mirror and said, I see whoever and whoever and whoever. And I was always sad because she never said Pam. It's just not a real common name. So, but I remember sitting in the living room floor watching that when I was a kid thinking, oh, say my name, say my name. Do y'all remember that? Good morning, Anna and Sharon. Now I'm gonna have to look that up, or somebody, was it? Okay, Lisa says it was Romper Room. Thank you, Lisa. I thought it was. I remember that. I don't remember a whole lot else about the show, but I do remember that part. I remember watching that, and I remember watching Captain Kangaroo and Slam Bang Theater. I was telling my grandsons the other night when we had them to celebrate their 10th birthday, we were talking about how cartoons have changed from the time we were kids to now. And I said, cartoons are not even funny anymore. Y'all have all these sci-fi things, and when we were kids, cartoons were actually funny. And so we were trying to describe some of the cartoons that we had, you know, growing up, Magilla Gorilla and some of those. Anyway, they just looked at us like we had lost our minds, but they don't know what they're missing. Good morning from the mini mod meetup. Some of the moderators, I think there were 4 of them, met up this weekend, and they sent me a picture of the 4 of them, and I was so happy that they could be together, and just a wee bit jealous that I couldn't be there, but I got over my jealousy and I was happy for them. They look so happy together. So I want to start off this morning by telling you just briefly, before we get into our subject, and I hope you'll hear my heart. As most of you know, we started this group. It just turned a year old in February 1st. And so we're just barely, not quite a year and a half old, and have close to 80,000 members. And we have a group of moderators who volunteer their time. There is no pay for any of us. And so there are times that I get lots of private messages every day, but there are times I'll get a private message from somebody that isn't happy with something that's, you know, happened on the board, a message that was posted, or an action taken by a moderator or something, and they're pretty vocal about it. And so I just wanted to remind you that we're all human, and we don't live on this message board. We pop in when we can. We give as much time as we can to it, but we don't catch everything. And so if there's a very inappropriate message posted, if you feel that it's very inappropriate, put my name in a comment, or put one of the moderators' names in a comment, because that's the only way to ensure that we see it. The purpose of reporting a post, obviously do that if it's something that's highly inappropriate, and we'll take action on it immediately. That sends an alert to our phones that a message has been reported. If it's something that you just happen to disagree with, or you know, you think it might not be specifically Weight Watchers or something, then tag one of us in it, and we may take action on it. We may decide that it's okay. It may just be one of those that we need to scroll past. But I just wanted to remind you that our moderators volunteer their time, and so please be patient and don't assume that just because they didn't take action on something that it's not because they don't care, and it's not because they're just not paying attention. I want to remind you, pardon me, that our rule about videos is not personal towards anyone. Because our moderators are volunteers, they do not have time to watch lengthy videos to make sure that someone isn't being political or trying to sell you something or being extremely inappropriate. And so that's the purpose of us keeping the videos to a minute or less, and about exercise. Why exercise, you say? Well, because all of us can do some form of activity, whether it's a serious exercise or just getting up, walking to the mailbox or something. All of us can do something, but we don't all do Weight Watchers the same way. Some of us eat more protein than others. Some of us eat less carbs than others. Some of us are trying intermittent fasting now and then. Some of us eat our weeklies and others don't. And people, as you've seen, get very, what's the word I want to use? Offended if someone is doing Weight Watchers in a different way than them, or maybe different than their leader suggested or something. So that's why we don't allow videos on anything other than exercise. For now, it just seems that's the safest route to go. Not telling you that won't change in the future, but for now, that's what we're doing. Okay, moving on to our subject for this week. This one I've kind of been excited about all week. I want to talk to you today about a very, very, very ugly word, and it's called sabotage. We've all used it. Too often, it's, not always, but too often it's an excuse, that a label that we put on our decision to go off track. So I have 10 tips to give you to help get over sabotage. Okay, first of all, you asked me, I know you're just dying to know, what is sabotage? What does that mean? Well, I looked it up. The definition is to deliberately destroy, obstruct, or damage. Deliberately destroy, obstruct, or damage. So when we say that someone else sabotaged our diet, did they deliberately destroy, obstruct, or damage? If they did, shame on them. And you need to be careful giving that person the power to do that to you. And we'll talk about that at the end a little bit more. But more often than not, I bet you it wasn't a true sabotage on their part. Now, we sabotage ourselves way more than other people sabotage us. Here we go. Sabotage number 1. We skip meals or cut way back. Too much. How many times have you either gotten busy, or you didn't plan well, or you were out and couldn't get to a meal that was appropriate, so you just skipped the meal? I don't skip meals very often, but some people do. When we do that, what happens at the next meal? You're starving, or you don't even make it to the next meal before you're starving. So we tend at that point to eat things that we wouldn't eat if we had kept our hunger under control. Okay, so number 1, we skip meals or we cut meals back too far. That sabotages our success at the next meal. Number 2, we overeat on the weekends. Anybody? Holla, me. We work really hard Monday through Friday. We stay on track. We follow our plan. We do exactly what we know we're supposed to do. And then what happens on the weekends? We lose our mind. We don't fall off the wagon. I don't like that phrase. Very, very, very seldom do we fall off the wagon. We climb down, crawl under it, instruct the driver to go back and forth, run over us a couple of times, and then, we climb out from under it whimpering that we fell off. We didn't fall off. We made a conscious decision to get off the wagon. So when we overeat on the weekends, we're undoing the good work that we put in Monday through Friday. If you want to work hard Monday through Friday just so that you can eat excessive on the weekends, then okay, that's a decision that you have to make. But if you're doing it consistently, regularly, then you are sabotaging yourself. You're deliberately obstructing your progress. Number 3, you reward yourself for exercise with food. Anybody? Well, I worked out hard today. I walked 2 extra miles, so I'm going to eat an ice cream cone or peanut butter or whatever it is. If it's something you planned for and you have the points for it, great. But here's the deal. If you're eating the points that you just earned by exercise, you're not going to reap the benefits of exercise. You're just exercising to maintain the weight that you were at before you exercised. Does that make sense? So if you want to exercise so that you can have that extra indulgence, go for it. But then don't complain that you're doing all of this exercise, but you're not seeing any progress. You're not going to if you're eating your exercise, okay? Number 4, you don't weigh or measure your food. These are deceiving. This is deceiving. I remember watching a Rachel Ray show years ago, and she was cooking a recipe, and it called for, I think it was a teaspoon or a tablespoon of some particular spice, and she poured it into her hand. And the star that was on the show with her that day said, how do you know that that's a teaspoon? And she said, well, I've done it so much that I can eyeball it. And sure enough, just to prove, she took a teaspoon or a tablespoon, I don't remember what it was, and she scooped that out of her hand, and she was dead on. Well, I'm not Rachel Ray, and I don't cook like that every day for a living. I can't trust my eyeballing something to make sure it's right. I keep my scale on my counter, and I keep my measuring cups and my measuring spoons handy, because my eyes will deceive me when it comes to what I'm putting into my mouth. So if you're refusing to weigh and measure your food regularly, I'm not saying you have to do it every meal and every bite, but if you're not losing weight, you might want to try that. I have found more often than not when the scale stops responding, it's because I've stopped weighing and measuring and tracking, okay? So that's number 4. Number 5, you fall for claims, labels, without reading the nutrition. How many times have you bought something at the store and eaten it because somebody told you that it was 1 point or 0 points, or the label on the front said that it was healthy or sugar-free or something like that? Anybody? I have, a million times. But then when you look at the nutrition label, you start seeing all of these warning signs going off saying, oh my goodness, Okay, well, it may be sugar-free, but it's got a ton of fat. Or I see this a lot, and I'm sure you do. Somebody will post a recipe in our group, and they'll say, I made this wonderful dish and it's 0 smart points. And I go in, I think, oh, I mean, 0 smart points, who doesn't want that? So I go in and I start looking at their recipe, and I mean, bells are just going off in my head, because I'm thinking, there's no way it's 0 point. The prime example, and this was the big one for me, was the 1, 2, 3 cakes. You know, I saw where people were saying they're 2 points or 3 points, and I thought, awesome, I can spend 3 points. And so for a while, I was having one every night. I made a big container of the mix, and every night I would make myself one of those little cakes. And all of a sudden, my weight loss stopped, and I thought, what in the world? So the only thing I had changed in my diet was adding in those cakes. So I thought, okay, I need to put my money where my mouth is. So I dissected it and put it into the recipe builder, and lo and behold, what I thought was 2 or 3 points was significantly higher, and I was having it every day. Did the person who posted that it was 2 or 3 points deliberately sabotage me? No, I sabotaged myself. Was it deliberate? It was ignorant. I did it out of ignorance. I didn't deliberately slow down my weight loss, but I lazily did it because I didn't look and verify for myself that what I was eating was what I thought I was eating. So I can't blame that other person. I have to own and take responsibility for myself. Okay, number 6, you don't give new habits time to establish. You can't eat healthy one day and expect to see results on the scale that week. It's going to take time. It's going to take consistency. You can't join Weight Watchers on Monday and expect by Thursday that you know it all, because you don't. I've been doing Weight Watchers for a long time, and I'm learning every day. There are still recipes that I think I have it all figured out, and then I dissect it and realize I was doing it wrong. I was counting it wrong. I was tracking it wrong. So give it time. Be consistent, but don't ever stop learning. Don't ever think that you know it all. People who have worked for Weight Watchers for 30 years and think that they know it all, I disagree. You may know a lot, and you may know a lot more than some of us, but please keep in mind that when Smart Points rolled out, we all started it at the same time. When Freestyle rolled out last December, we all started it at the same time. So I'm no more of an expert on Freestyle than you are. I just happen to have been doing Weight Watchers maybe longer. But don't ever stop learning. Don't ever think that you know it all. But give yourself a chance for it to become habit. Don't expect it to happen overnight. It won't. But let those good habits get established before you start throwing in some little tweaks. There's nothing wrong with tweaking. I mentioned earlier, we all do Weight Watchers a little bit different. Some of us eat more carbs than others. Some of us eat more protein than others. Some of us eat more vegetables. Some of us eat more fruit, that kind of thing. Some folks are trying the intermittent fasting, and that's great. Weight Watchers is all about eating healthy, and healthy looks different on all of us. So I never judge someone because they don't do it like I do. But whatever you're doing, give it time to grow roots before you give up or before you start tweaking. Okay, number 8, you try to do too much at once. Guilty. I'm an all-in kind of girl with everything I do. It drives my husband crazy. Start small. Don't say, okay, here's what we all do. I'm going to start Weight Watchers on Monday. So Monday morning, I'm not ever going to eat anything off plan again. Okay, well, that's just not going to happen. We all do that. So start small. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed. For instance, if you have a soft drink addiction, it may be too much for you to say, starting this morning, I'm giving up all soft drinks. That's going to be difficult. Or all sugar. That's a big one. Maybe break it up. Maybe say, starting today, I'm going to decrease my intake of soft drinks. If you're drinking 4 a day, maybe this week cut down to 3, and next week cut down to 2, and gradually break that addiction. Or the same thing with sugar. If you're all or nothing like me, I had to go cold turkey, and boy, was it tough, because it truly is an addiction. But don't try to do too much at once. Same thing with exercise. If you're not doing any exercise, you're probably not going to want to go run a 5K tomorrow. You might need to start walking, and then maybe add a little bit of jogging to your walking, and then increase it until you're doing more jogging than you are walking. People who do weight resistance training, they don't just go to the gym and start bench pressing 200 pounds. That's silly. You have to start small and gradually work up. So don't try to do too much at once. Start with a plan and build on that plan. Number 9, you weigh yourself too often. Guilty. I weigh every day. For years, I would let that derail me. If the scale went up on a day that I was not expecting it to go up, I was really good yesterday, and by golly, I stepped on the scale this morning and expected to see a 3-pound weight loss, and I didn't lose anything. I would let that completely derail me, and I would think, well, if I'm not going to lose after being good yesterday, I might as well eat a cookie. Anybody? So I've learned that if that's going to be an issue for me, I have to stop weighing every day. I have finally gotten to the point where I don't give the scale that power. I still weigh every day, but I don't look at it as a measurement of my success anymore. It's just a guide. It just tells me what I happen to weigh today. But if I was good yesterday, then I was good yesterday, regardless of what the scale says, and I'm going to own that, and I'm going to be proud of it. But if that derails you, stop weighing every day. Maybe ask someone to hide the scale from you if you have to. I've had to do that. I let it bother me so badly one time that I got up one morning and went in the bathroom, and my scale was gone, and I nearly had heart palpitations. And my husband came in, and I said, where's the scale? And he said, I put it up. And I said, you did what? And he said, I'm tired of you letting that little contraption have so much power over you, so I put it up. And when we get to the point where you can weigh without going into a total funk, I'll bring it back out. But until then, we'll weigh once a week, and I'll bring the scale out, and then I'll put it away again. And we did that for 3 or 4 months. And so it was one of the kindest things he's ever done to me. Did I think so at the moment? No, I was a little perturbed at him, but it ended up being a very good thing. So you may need to do that. Number 10, you're too hard on yourself. This is life. This is not a race. You're not being graded. You're not being measured on how good of a person you are by how well you do at Weight Watchers. This is life. There are going to be celebrations. There are going to be special occasions. There will always be a holiday. There will always be a family get-together. There will always be a moment that you just want to have that little something extra. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't even mean you're a bad Weight Watcher. It just means you're human. So don't be so hard on yourself. Don't say, I sabotaged myself today because I ate a cookie. No, you didn't. You ate a cookie. Big deal. All that means is that you ate a cookie. So what I tell people all the time, and I tell myself this, is I am one meal away from being right back on my plan. So if I ate a cookie, it's okay. I track it and I move on. Will it affect my weight loss this week? Possibly. Maybe not. Whether it does or whether it doesn't, this is life. And so enjoy living. No diet is worth you not enjoying life. It just isn't. And if it's that restrictive, who wants to do that? I'm not going to live life that way. It may mean that I didn't lose my weight as quickly as I could have had I not ever had any of those indulgences. But life is more important to me, and enjoying life is more important to me than reaching my weight loss goal faster. Does that make sense? Having said that, we can't indulge every single time we're offered something to eat. That's not an indulgence. That's just being irresponsible. Sometimes we just have to say no thank you. Sometimes we have to tell ourselves, not going to do it. I went to a family reunion Saturday. You know how those are. Tables of food and especially desserts that I didn't need. I knew Father's Day was the next day, and I wanted to be able to enjoy Father's Day with my husband and my kids. So I had to make a choice. Am I going to indulge today, or am I going to indulge tomorrow? I can't do both. I'm not giving myself permission to do both. So I got my plate. I started at the wrong end of the line, and I walked backwards looking at what my options were. And I picked out 2 meats and 2 vegetables that I felt comfortable I could track. And I avoided the dessert table. I didn't even go over there. So I then went through the line and got my 4 items, and I seated us as far away from the food as possible, and I sat my chair with my back to the food. And then I sat there for the rest of the day enjoying the fellowship with my family. Could I have eaten? Yes, I could have eaten off of the dessert table. But you know what? Looking back on Saturday, my memories are not of what was on that dessert table that I didn't eat. My memories are good, and they're on the time I spent talking with family that I haven't seen in years. Just because it's there, I don't have to eat it. It's okay. It's okay. You will survive passing the dessert table now and then. I'm going to throw a number 11 in just for good measure. Stop giving other people the power to sabotage you. Most of the time, they're not doing it intentionally. Most of the time, they may say something that 5 minutes later, they don't even remember saying. I'm guilty of that. I'm sure you are too. But I assure you, when you find yourself with your face in a carton of ice cream or in a bag of cookies, and you say, so-and-so said something last night that hurt my feelings, and I've been eating all day long. How many times do you think so-and-so thought about the rest of that day what they said? Probably never again. Probably once it passed their lips, they never thought about it again. And yet you gave those words the power to throw you into a tailspin, so much so that you have not indulged, you have obsessed with eating. And I guarantee you that carton of ice cream or that bag of cookies did not make you feel better. So stop giving that power away. Take it back. It's your power to give, and if you don't give it away, they don't own it. Here's my quote for you today, and I'm going to close with this because we've been going a long time and I don't want it to go over. Stop thinking about a month. Stop thinking about a year. Just think about today. Stop dieting for what's going to happen a month from now or what life is going to look like a week from now. Just eat for today. Plan ahead? Yes. Obsess about it? No. Only today. Today is the only day you can do anything about. I've told you that before. Yesterday's over. It's in the history books. You can't change it. Tomorrow isn't even here yet. So don't stress about tomorrow. Just do today. I hope that I said something that helped you today. I know I said something that kind of helped me. So we all need that reminder. But the next time you are tempted to say, somebody sabotaged me, did they really? Was it deliberate? Was it intentional? Probably not. It was probably a careless word or deed on their part. But I venture to say it wasn't intentional to throw you off your diet. And don't you sabotage yourself. Deal? All right. I hope you have a wonderful week. Don't forget the Freedom 5K is coming up July 4th, which is going to be here any day now. I mean, July is almost here. It's just crazy. So, oh, and I was going to tell you, somebody asked me, I will give you a progress on Mondays. I told you I was going to do no sugar and no wheat for 4 weeks to try to break my headache cycle. The issue I have, and I know all of you don't know, and many of you don't care, and I don't blame you, I have what's called pulsatile tinnitus. It's not ringing in my ear. I hear all vascular noise in my ear. It's very loud. Some days it's loud enough that it causes that side of my face to even vibrate from the noise. It's affecting my hearing. I'm losing my hearing in my right ear. I think I'm down to about 50% right now. But they can't decide if the pulsatile tinnitus or tinnitus, depending on which doctor you listen to, they can't decide if that's causing the headaches or if the headaches are exacerbating the noise. Yes, I've been tested every way to Sunday. I've had CAT scans, MRIs, Doppler sonograms, you name it, and there is no tumor, there is no blockage, there's nothing that they can find to fix. So what we're trying now is to see if it's food related. And so my neurologist wants me to try for 30 days eliminating grains and sugar to see if it will break this headache cycle. And then at the end of the 30 days, I'll gradually add the grains back in and see if the headaches, start coming back. If so, then they'll know that that grains are contributing to the headaches. But our suspicion is that they are possibly feeding off of sugar. So I started a week ago this morning. This past week, I've had no grains and no sugar. And so far, knock on wood, I do not have a headache for 3 days, which I haven't gone 3 days without a headache, and I can't even tell you how long it's been. So I'm very hopeful that this is going to be the answer. I can give up sugar. It would be much harder to give up grains long term, but I can give up sugar if that's what I'm going to have to do to keep the headaches. They don't think that will do anything about the noise. They think that's here to stay, and unless God intervenes, which I'm prayerful that He will, then that's just something I'll be dealing with. But if I can get rid of the headaches for good, or at least learn to control them, that will be wonderful. But I told you that I would keep you updated on my progress, and so that's why I'm doing it. Is it necessarily Weight Watchers? No, this is life, and so this is what I'm doing to try to control this in my life. I have lost several pounds this week. I don't think that will happen every week, but it did this week, so we shall see. Am I encouraging you to do it? Nope, I'm not. I'm just telling you what I'm doing and how it's working. So if you have any questions, you can private message me and I'll be happy to try to answer them. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful week. Be kind to each other, be kind to yourself, and have a great week. And I'll see you on the board. Bye, everyone.